everyone else. So if you could put your hands together, welcome up to Avon Collis.
You are all the sum total of the decisions that you've made up to this point in time. So it makes sense to make good decisions. Would you not agree? So once upon a time, this was me. Yes, those plants are what you think they are. And no, I didn't smoke any. So I spent about 7 years in the army, and I was in infantry, and I had challenged my body, and I sort of pushed as hard as I could, and did all these things. I thought, getting it up, people in the army either have busted knees, busted back, some kind of problem. I thought, now it's time to challenge my mind to do something different. So in the last 2 years of my time in defence, I transferred to intelligence, which meant that my life became this. No, I wasn't 007. No, I didn't really go out and spy on the enemy and all that sort of stuff. But what it did do is allow me to think a little bit differently about the world, to think a little bit more critically, to understand what goes into a good decision, how to logically arrive at an ideal end state, and also to think about how to get people to make decisions that are free of influences that they've put onto those decisions based on their perceptual set or their experience in their life. After a couple of years in intelligence, I got out, I bought a business, I ran that for a few years. I got out of that, and then I ran 2 sporting organisations, state-level sporting organisations in the Northern Territory. One of those was triathlon, and then the other one was in the top 20 deadly sports in the world, and that is lawn bowls. And all of that leads into what I'm talking about, and that is bias. So, bias is, in lawn bowling context, is a small weight inside of the ball. It's not in the middle, it's off to the one side, and it leads the ball off in a particular direction. So, no, it doesn't go straight, it goes off to one side. Now, the difference is you can have the weight pointing outwards or inwards. But the owner or the person using it understands what that bias is and how to use it effectively. Now, we all have bias. This is the diagram of what it looks like when it's rolling around on the ground. As you can see, there's a target at the very end. And there's different paths that it can take based on either the direction that you place the bias on, whether it's going to go to the left or to the right. If you have the bias, if you're not aware of how that bias is going to affect the ball, then it's going to end up in the other person's lane. If you do a harder one, then you can take a straighter line. If you do a softer bowl, then you can take a wider line. And that can be used to take a different angle or perspective on the actual target or the outcome that you're trying to achieve. But the key thing is the people using the bowls understand the bias. They know it. They know how it affects what they're doing, and they make decisions accordingly. We all have bias. And roughly translated to BS, we all should have a BS meter. The government is well aware of the fact that bias exists. In fact, they've got a page on it on their website. If you Google it, I think it was about the top three results for bias. And in this context, they're talking about unconscious bias when making hiring decisions. So we've got, here down the bottom, you can see talented people are left out of your workforce or not allowed equal opportunity for development and career progression because of bias. Someone who may have had a really different view may not have been able to be part of your team because of bias. Think about Stephen Hawking. Can't really go and send an email on Outlook on your PC, can't go and get the mail from the front desk and take it to your office, but knows black holes and string theory inside out. He developed his own speech system as his body was decaying to the point where he could be able to use the speech system for what it was dependent on. Now, some people use statistics to try and help them to make decisions. if you've read this already, 86.4% of people will believe any data you put in the PowerPoint slide, even if you totally made it up to prove your point. So it makes sense to understand the kinds of data that you're using to bring into your decision-making process. Now, if you have a look at this photo, over 68,000 single women starve to death every year. Now, one of these could be true. Maybe both are true. Maybe both are not related, but they're just co-located. So if you have a look, yes, that woman looks as though she cannot open that jar. Is that related to the text that's on the screen? Probably not, although it would be a very sad case if that was the case, if that was true. If that 68,000 single women did starve to death every year. In fact, I probably wouldn't surprise me if that was true to some extent. But we can't assume straight away that that picture relates directly to that text. Sometimes people can place information with other information to bring it forward or take back certain elements to give you clarity or to cloud what it is that they want you to see or not see. That kind of came around back on circular reason before. But you get the idea. Sample size of data can be important. 50% of graphic designers have red hair. Sample size is 2 graphic designers. So making sure that the basis of how these things come together are actually true, accurate, and are a good reflection of the kinds of information that you're trying to obtain is really, really important. Sometimes the bias or the agenda that whoever's putting the information together, maybe the sample size is wrong in this case, maybe the sample set is wrong, maybe the method they want to go and try and disidentify or whatever they do in terms of cleaning the data was wrong. Sometimes the data doesn't always connect. Over 2 million Americans exposed to drinking water will die this year. I would imagine that almost every human being on the planet has been exposed to drinking water at some point, directly or indirectly, and will at some point die, whether they like it or not. Correlation is not causation. Now, sometimes you really need to look at some of the details here. I was looking at this, making a software decision with someone in this audience, and when I was looking at it, I laughed after a brief second. I had to get out of camera and work there. But basically, you can see that this company, the one in the red, have tried to differentiate themselves from every other competitor that's similar in the market for this webinar software. And they've said that, yep, we are $97 initially, and then it's $69 a month. That's why you should choose us. But if you look at the comparison, and you add up those two figures, monthly plus initial, it's actually double every single other operator in the marketplace. That's their own website. So if they're trying to bullshit you on their own website, maybe they're going to BS you in when you're actually dealing with them with their product. Sometimes people can be very misleading or verbose or over-explain things. Single-handedly manage successful upgrade and deployment of new environmental and illumination system with zero cost overruns and zero safety incidents. Otherwise, change the light bulb. Sometimes, I generally prefer people who can say more with less, because it means if they say a lot, it means they have a lot to say. If they people use words like this to say the exact same thing, that I'm not going to read it out, but it's essentially a longer version of the same, changing the light bulb. So, now sometimes we need to look at the credibility and the source of the information. What exactly, or who exactly, are we listening to? You can see this one is the dihydrogenmonoxide.org. Straight away with the .org, I'm a little bit skeptical. I don't like the look. It doesn't look like it's updated, or they've got much of a budget, or they're very legitimate in terms of their presentation. The other thing is that dihydrogen monoxide is a legitimate concern that gets in your lungs. But if anyone knows anything about chemistry, dihydrogen is 2 hydrogen, monoxide is 1 oxygen, so H2O. The other thing that's really important is to really delve deep. Some things on the surface don't look like they are good or important, but if you really dig deeper, sometimes you can see something a little bit deeper, something that's a little bit more of quality. So you don't always have to judge a book by its cover. So the first impressions weren't good. They had to rebrand it to a book you may have heard of called Private Projects. If anyone's heard of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, you can, yes, that was a joke. You can, if you Google it, I think she went to publishers, 11 different publishers rejected her before it became accepted, and then widespread, and now movies, and now never even. So, first impressions weren't good, but we know. This one, catch 11, they doubled their efforts and became catch 22. Trimalchio in West Egg, that's making no sense to me, but Great Gatsby. And all's well that ends well, particularly when you're reading a book called War and Peace. I sped read War and Peace once, it's about some Russians. But sometimes you definitely can judge a book by its cover. So we have here the manly art of knitting. Everything I want to do is illegal. There is a lovely little American flag down there. No correction. And mummy drinks because you're bad. But the thing that I don't get is if you read the foreign text at the top, it says quality books for quality religious books for children. So sometimes it's a little bit about respect. So as you can see here, there's a figure on the ground. From one angle it looks like a 6, from the other angle it looks like a 9. So you really need to think about how the other person sees something and how they interpret the situation that they're communicating to you that helps you to make a wise decision about their background and how they're thinking, which will help you to hopefully avoid some pitfalls and trouble. Why have I got a photo of this? My pocket square. I want to take you on a little bit of a journey of decision-making cycle. Did I buy this? No. Did my wife buy it? Yes. Why did she buy it? I guess I'm not here to unearth the inner workings of my wife's brain as to why she did it. Other than to suggest that let's think about the questions that we could ask in relation to this. So, did she buy it because she thought it was fashionable? Did she buy it because she thought it looked good or that it would look good on me? Did she buy it because it had a particular colour that she happened to like? Was it because it reminded her of a certain incident or a date that we went on perhaps? Did it remind her of her childhood memory? You know, these sorts of things can affect as the motivations, the background as to why a decision was made. So some of these questions can be important to ask. Now, some of you may recognise the Linux penguin up there, but essentially the difference, or the thing I want to point out, is the difference between an inference and an assumption. An inference comes from existing information and then providing a new piece of information on the basis of that. So, and then an assumption is always brings new information. Now the two are not mutually exclusive, which means they can exist within the same sentence. For example, penguins can't fly, I can't fly, therefore I'm a penguin. Anyone's ever seen Monty Python? If she weighs the same as a duck, she's made of wood and therefore a witch. That was their decision-making cycle, and you would not believe how often we come across it. So these are the basis of fallacies of logic. Now there's different sort of, I suppose you would call it idiotic decision-making principles, fallacies of logic. There's, I think, 27 plus. I've only listed a few here, but there's certainly more than you can Google. Now, confirmation bias. When you do university studies, confirmation bias is when you're looking for information that supports your argument, your idea, or your claim, rather than trying to destroy it or refute it. Now, if you look for weighted items either side, then you might allow yourself to be swayed either way. Say, right, well, evidence suggests that maybe we were wrong. That's probably the best possible outcome that you could have, because now you learn something true. The next is attribution error, is attributing a certain fact to the wrong thing, that they're not connected but you think they are. An appeal to authority, saying, well, if it's good enough for the Prime Minister, it's good enough for me. I don't know who that is at the moment. Post hoc ergo propter hoc, which is Latin for previously this, therefore because of this. This is that correlation, it's not causation issue. Hasty generalisation, Effectively, there are two kinds of people in the world: those that break people into two kinds of people, and those that don't. There is the slippery slope in that, in for a penny, in for a pound. You start on one little thing, you give an inch, and right away they think they're a ruler. Ad populum is to be right, where you make changes to your argument or your decision-making cycle so that people like you, which is actually quite problematic when you're thinking of big life decisions. I want to have a nice flashy car so people like me, when really that could have been a deposit on a house, as it occurred. And an appeal to ignorance. Now, I put a big word in there, purely because there was a politician that once said, called another politician recalcitrant. And there was this big thing in the media that no one knew what the hell this meant. I did Google it beforehand, I can't remember now, something about being hard to deal with, difficult to deal with authority. But this one word is the one thing that you can use as a fallback if you don't know how to respond to someone who uses big words. Because this means people who use a social medallion is someone who uses big words to confuse people when they're in arguments. So it's literally the only word you need to know if someone uses big wordy words. Here's a couple of little examples. This one is begging the question. There was back to politics, there was a British Prime Minister that got up in front of the cabinet and said, we're not doing this, half the cabinet are asses. And the opposition complained and said, you need to withdraw that comment. And he said, I withdraw, half the cabinet are not asses. So we've just confirmed the exact same statement in two different ways. And half are naturally, half are. So the other one is lexical deviation, which is using big words to confuse people. And you can win your arguments with awesomeness. You couldn't come up with a better example of that. So how do we get to the bottom line? How do we make better decisions? So we need to think about multiple source reporting. So if you go and Google your rash, I'm sure you're going to come up with some Google post that says you're going to die. So maybe go somewhere else as well. Maybe go to an actual doctor. Maybe go and talk to a pharmacist, show them your rash, and try and look at a few different angles. No, more Google articles won't help, because you think about the motivations of the people who are writing these articles. They're nasty little copywriters like me who are trying to get your attention and make you to take some form of action. As in, click this link and watch this video. Cats. So the other one is critical thinking. Go through those fallacies of logic. Go and really quiz the information that's in front of you and decide what's the motivations, what's the outcome, what are they trying to get me to do or think or say. Question both sides of the argument. Say, well, if this were true, then what would be the case? Or if this were wrong, what would be the case? I believe it was Homer or Plato that said a wise man, Homer is a person, not just a cartoon character, and he was a philosopher, who said true wisdom is being able to contemplate an idea without accepting it. So make sure you can think through the other side of the other person's problem. Ask 5 why. This was a concept developed in Toyota where managers would ask why 5 times. So for example, why aren't the wheels on that car? We don't have any bolts. Why don't we have any bolts? Jerry was supposed to order them. Why didn't Jerry order them? He's home sick. Why is he home sick? Because he Googled a rash and thinks he's going to die. Almost better. Alright, think about interrogatives, which are basically who, what, where, how, when, and why. They're the questions that give you information that you weren't expecting. So when you ask, did you go to the shops today, yes or no, you're only going to get no. Or why not? You wanted to know, what did you do today? I did X, Y, and Z. Did you go to the shops? Yes or no? There's your pointed question at the end, after you found out what they did. Okay. So, and then using closed questions for that final outcome. So a broader decision-making framework is define the problem really, really well. Generate an array of possible solutions and responses. Evaluate the cost, benefits, pros, cons, etc. of each of those options. Select one, implement it, test it, and evaluate it for its success. And if necessary, revisit and make another decision. And finally, famous deep dive quote: if I hadn't been able to solve the problem, I'd spend 55 minutes figuring it out and 5 minutes actually solving it. Thank you very much.
Brilliant, brilliant. Who enjoyed that? Isn't the mic loud all of a sudden? How many people, if you just implemented this, would have saved themselves time and money in their business life this year? I think if you were truly honest, everyone in the room would have. Just if you implemented that. That alone would have been worth the $10, I reckon, just quietly. So, mate, brilliant. Well done. Well done. Apart from the jokes. I genuinely thought you were talking about Homer Simpson too, by the way. So, because, you know, a fellow philosopher. So,